Ladies and gentlemen, Republicans are taking the Senate as well as the House. And I've been telling you also, in addition to the stock market crash that I predicted in September of 2021, in the Federalist in October of 2021, and also the stock market crash playlist in September, I talked about recession, inflation, stock market crash. We're seeing that now. I told you Clinton would lose to Trump in 2016. I told you past couple of weeks, when polls showed differently, I said, hey, Senate's going Republican. We're in an economic disaster right now. It's only going to get worse. We're going to talk about former President Trump's response to the House Unselect Committee. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, to my super chat. I cannot do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. Your support is greatly appreciated. And your support helps me do these live streams. I couldn't do them without you. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like some people. So to my super chat, thank you. If you want to talk about the economy, the generic ballot, which is what, 7 points now? A whole bunch of issues. Just let me know via super chat. Kenneth, hello. G. Corber, hello. Eric, everybody here. Kevin. D. Brown, hello. Thank you so very much. Let's get started, everybody. Rasmussen reports. This is very interesting. So before we get to Raphael Warnock evicting tenants and being investigated by Georgia officials on the validity of his charitable organization, we have pretty much every Senate contest. Blake Masters in Arizona. We have Oz in Pennsylvania. We have Herschel Walker in Georgia. Laxalt is going to do very well in Nevada. Ron Johnson is winning Wisconsin. So this is going to be a really good November. Definitely be here for the live stream. I will have a celebration live stream, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be awesome. Absolutely awesome in November. But here, Congressional ballot. Let's read this. The 2022 midterm elections are now 25 days away, and Republicans have a 7-point lead in their bid to recapture control of Congress. A 7-point generic lead, according to Rasmussen. And it's only going to get better because you have inflation, you have an economic downturn that Biden caused. This is Biden's fault. He's the one who caused this, okay? He's the one who caused this. And the hilarious thing is that, like, you have people saying, well, if Republicans win, then inflation's going to get worse. And it's like, no. We know that inflation is going to get worse regardless of who wins because of all the economic mismanagement. We already know that. We already know that inflation is going to get worse. That is a given. We know this because when Mashed Potato Brains Joe took over, he went to battle with the oil and gas industry, and he ignored inflation in 2021. That opened up a Pandora's box of problems. So, with the Oil and Gas Association sued Biden's administration, and within the lawsuits, they stated, look, your energy policies, your Green New Deal policies, or the feeble attempt at actually trying to enact these policies, which are completely anti-business, anti-economic growth, okay? The reason we have these problems is that Biden is initially going to battle against oil and gas, banning leasing on federal lands, banning pipelines, making it difficult for businesses to function, And they say, well, you know what? That certain pipeline wasn't operational. It's like, so what? You're making it difficult for oil and gas companies to get loans, to do business. You're telling them you don't want their industry to exist in 10 years. You're telling them this. You're telling them this. And so, um, what do you expect? So prices are going to be higher. Then the Democrats say, oh well, there's historic margins. You're dealing with not only shortages in labor and also in fracking sand and a whole bunch of other things, but they're telling an entire industry, numerous industries, oil, gas, um, and everything to do with the oil and gas industry. You're telling them you don't want them to exist. When prices go up, then when prices go up, you complain. Then when prices go up, you complain and then flood the country full of 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves. And then OPEC and the largest producer in the world and the Middle East said, yeah, you know what? We're cutting production by 2 million barrels. Take that. We're going to cut production by 2 million barrels. Take that. And Mashed Potato Brains Joe also has to um, end his reliance on the strategic petroleum reserve. So he did no good. So this is why Democrats are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. They come in, they say, oh, well, we have to save the planet. There's a climate emergency. Okay. Then they say, oh, but we're also going to release 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves. Okay. Because, oh, by the way, our initial policies caused a huge increase in oil and gas and energy. So, yeah, we don't have the technology to actually implement Green New Deal policies, but we're going to pretend and we're going to pontificate and preach and condemn and give these sermons and say, oh, how dare you regarding the climate and the planet and all of this. Okay, their policies directly caused this. Then they were the ones who pushed to end economic activity 2 years ago. They were the ones who pushed for draconian laws. They were the ones. They gleefully pushed for draconian policies. Gleefully. And without explaining the age group who suffered the most and who lost their lives the most. See, whenever you talk about that subject, which I won't name, they never say, well, what 80% of those who lost their lives were what age and older? According to the government, 65 and older. And what percentage were 70 and older? And what percentage had numerous other issues in terms of health? But all of society had to shut down. Don't you understand? The experts said, because the most vulnerable demographic group, which happened to be about 40 years older than the average age of the U.S. labor force. U.S. labor force is about 40 years old, ladies and gentlemen. About 42 years old. Okay, 42-year-olds. Well, we'll just leave it at that. I've already said too much. We wouldn't want to have information that actually informs, as opposed to information from our wonderful government and media and experts that oftentimes misinforms people. See, when government and media misinform people, it's never that. It's just they can change their mind and they can, the data and the numbers and the zeitgeist and groupthink and prevailing mentality change, so it's no problem. No problem at all. It is what it is. They can never be wrong. How many lives were impacted by the frenzy? How many lives were impacted by the frenzy to shut down economic activity? And this was all promoted by the Democratic Party gleefully. Andrew Cuomo gleefully tanked his state economy. Whitmer gleefully. That's why these people are either no longer in they're either no longer in politics or they're on their way out. Okay? If you vote for Whitmer in Michigan, I don't know what to tell you. These are the same people that if experts say shut down every single business, they will do so salivating and just gleefully and so happy they will do so. And there goes people's livelihoods. And they'll have no problem pumping $10 trillion into the U.S. economy. And that's what caused all this inflation. It was the Democratic Party that caused all of this. And very cowardly Republicans, not Trump Republicans, but Republicans like Mitch McConnell and others who just went along. Okay, media was wrong as always. As always, media was wrong. But see, again, Jerome Powell last year, and we'll get to Trump, and we'll get to the Unselect committee, and we'll get to the economy, but Trump was right. Inflation, he predicted that, Trump predicted that that we'd have a terrible, terrible stock market crash. That we'd have a terrible stock market crash. Okay? And if you look really quickly, Eric Holder was held in contempt. He ignored a congressional subpoena for documents pertaining to a huge. He ignored a congressional subpoena. If you look, Holder held in contempt. Really quickly, we'll get back to Trump in a second, but we'll get back to the economy in a second, but just touching upon Trump and the congressional demand to testify, it's like, that is absurd. Eric, hello. Everybody here, hello. That is absurd. If you look, ladies and gentlemen, the House, this is June 28th, 2012. The House voted to hold Attorney General Eric Holder in contempt of Congress over his failure to turn over documents related to the Fast and Furious scandal, the first time Congress had taken such a dramatic move against a sitting cabinet official. Okay? So you actually had the Attorney General. Held in contempt of Congress. Okay? So spare us the nonsense. Then here, House Republicans issued more than 70 subpoenas. That was since Comey went to bat for Clinton. Okay? Then they had a committee, Republicans passed a contempt resolution against Brian Pagliano. Mr. Pagliano, from a senior advisor in the Bureau, refused to comply with the congressional subpoena. But then they're going after Bannon. And they're going to try to probably go after Trump. And Navarro they're going after. So, what's the point? Oh, Lord. Serious? Oh, my God. Not again. Sorry about that, everybody. We were doing so well with this. Um, we were doing so well with this internet connection recently, and then now it's just kind of going back to where it was. Gosh, I wish that didn't happen that way. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. So let's continue. So basically, you have a situation where Warnock, evicting homeless tenants. I mean, how on earth you claim to be a pastor and you're evicting homeless tenants? How does that even work out? How does that make sense? Am I back, ladies and gentlemen? Here. Hmm. Take another poll. Can you see and hear me again, ladies and gentlemen? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, Lisa. Lou, hello. Nuna, hello. Okay, awesome. Okay, we're back. Laughing Dog, hello. Clevin, hello. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what. Kenneth, hello. So, you know what? If there's an issue again, what I'll do is, um, I'll reboot the modem. Sorry, I apologize, everybody. All right. So Warnock is evicting homeless tenants. I mean, you can't make this up. You talk about a hypocrite. They're like, oh, well, Herschel Walker's a hypocrite because of his stance on a certain issue. Like, well, you're evicting homeless tenants. What? How do you get out of that if you are a liberal Democrat? How on earth do you get out of that? I need Starlink exactly. Um, so let's look at this really quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Apartments owned by Warnock's church evict homeless tenants while senator receives hefty housing stipend. I mean, you're getting money from the state government. It's this horrible. It's disheartening. It's horrible. Actually, horrifying. One Columbia Tower resident said the apparent hypocrisy. That is unbelievable. That is absolutely unbelievable. A downtown apartment building, mostly owned by the church of Senator Raphael Warnock, has repeatedly been evicting disadvantaged tenants while the church pays the senator a hefty monthly housing stipend. What? How are you evicting tenants when the entire facade with Democrats was an eviction moratorium? We need an eviction moratorium. And it's like, how does that happen? How on earth does that happen? How on earth is there an eviction moratorium? Um, how on earth is there an eviction? Sorry, how on earth is he evicting tenants? Ebenezer Baptist Church, which pays Warnock a sizable 7,417 monthly housing allowance. As its senior pastor, he's a pastor of a church that's evicting homeless tenants. How does that even make sense? How is that possible? So, I mean, like, in addition to everything that's going on in addition to everything that's going on, okay, you have with the economy, you have a situation where Democratic senators are getting money from the state and having In this case, a church evict. I mean, how is that even possible? Laughing dog, thank you. Exactly. To my super chat. Thank you again. So, I mean, how is this even possible? I mean, you're talking about a huge loss, an enormous loss. Democrats are going to lose the House and the Senate, and it's going to be in November. And it's not that far away. It's like 3 weeks away, ladies and gentlemen. 3 weeks away. I mean, the economy is going to tank even more. You have a situation where not only is there rampant hypocrisy, but you have an economy in constant free fall and decline. Ken May, thank you. Greatly appreciated, Ken. Thank you for being a member, Ken. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Detroit is fantastic. Um, Barry Sanders is one of my all-time favorite uh, football players. So, and I'm a Laker fan, but the Bad Boy Pistons, I remember. Bad Boy Pistons, that's a team often overlooked by today's fans. That team was amazing. That team started off by defeating Jordan's Bulls, and then eventually my Lakers. So, Ken, thank you so very much for the kind words. But, ladies and gentlemen, you have. Let's just read this really quickly. 41% of voters would vote Democrat. 48% of voters would vote Republican. Again, these polls are kind of like, even Rasmussen, you can take him with a grain of salt, but it makes sense. Like, a lot of times polls don't make sense. When they were showing that Democrats were up, my question was, how on earth does this capture reality? Republicans now have a 7-point lead. That actually makes sense. That actually makes sense. It makes sense that Republicans would have a 7-point lead. Okay? It makes sense that Republicans would have a 7-point lead because you have inflation through the roof. Inflation is worse than expected. And you have an economy that's in decline, not an economy that's getting better. And then he says, this is hilarious. Then he says, "Oh, Biden warns prices will rise if Republicans win." It's like, so why did they rise with you? This is hilarious. This is like a person who completely gets liquored up all the time behind the wheel of a car saying, "Gosh, you should be more responsible and let me drive you." It's like you just crashed the car under the influence, and now we're supposed to give you the keys again? How on earth does that work? This is like the most. People are smarter than this. Like, people are smarter than this. Pistol Pete, I do. He was amazing. Valerie. People are smarter than this. Why would anyone, Stephanie, hello. Why would anyone trust this man? It's not even about, I don't like the word trust, but why would anyone look at this person, mashed potato brains, and say, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Like, does this make any sense at all? All of their like propaganda, all of their absurd talking points, like when the country in Europe was invaded and now being torn apart, when the country in Europe was being torn apart, um, you got, well, at least Trump. Thank goodness Trump isn't here. It's like, wait, what are you talking about? Thank goodness Trump isn't taking control of foreign policy now. It's like, really? Well, the absolute worst catastrophe took place while you were in office. So Democrats not only have a terrible economy under their watch, this is a fact. You can't blame anyone else because they were taking a victory lap last year. They also have an absolutely failed foreign policy, like the antithesis of what would have happened with Trump. Sometimes you have to force a negotiation or you have to push a negotiation, even if it might benefit in some way your adversary. Because they don't like Biden's administration, Democrats don't want to negotiate in Europe because it might help you know who. But it actually also might help the entire planet, including the United States of America. See, they would rather spite this country, Democrats would, than actually help the planet and this country. They're so worried about the climate. Well, the climate will change very rapidly if a certain type of armament is used by both countries. So it's like, I mean, it's just unbelievable. They ignored inflation. Jerome Powell and Democrats, the Federal Reserve, experts, they ignored inflation. They ignored inflation. Inflation was growing. We had 2% inflation with Trump in 2019. 2% inflation. Okay? We had 2% inflation. We now have 8 to 9% inflation, and it's a lot more than the 8.2 or 8.3% that actually was higher than expected the other day. Okay, it's only getting worse. The market already tanked 400 points. Market goes up 800, tanks 400, up 800, tanks 1500. It's just going to go up and down, and there very well might be an absolute crash right before midterms, and I think there will be. Joel Valdez, mashed potato brain, self-identifies as brilliant. Like a depressed economy identifies as booming. Joel Valdez, Valerie Rogers. Dems love Trump. They can blame him for everything. Exactly. To my super chat. I cannot do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Joel Valdez, Valerie Rogers, starting it off. Joel, exactly. Actually, the economic depression is the new boom. That's how it works. Economic depression is the new economic boom. Valerie, exactly. It's actually a religious doctrine. It's become a religious doctrine. President touts top line growth. The top line growth is only there because of 10 trillion in stimulus, which inflation and debt is cutting into every single day. Pretty soon, all that stimulus that won't be there to buffer and to kind of protect the country from a terrible economic downturn that we're seeing. We're going to see hundreds of thousands of layoffs very soon, unfortunately. Barry, thank you so very much. It's an honor to speak to everybody, to speak with everybody, and have these discussions. Thank you, Barry. Valerie and Joel, thank you so very much for starting off the live stream. Stephanie, thank you. So it's like, I agree with you, Joel and Valerie. Here's the thing. When in Europe, so Joel, Valerie, everybody here, in Europe, when the invasion took place, they said, well, at least Trump. Could you imagine what would happen with Trump? What an absurd. It would be the equivalent of it's like, you know what it's like? It's like a quarterback it's like a football coach that has a losing season and says, "Could you imagine what would happen if another coach was here?" Yeah, it's like, yeah, we can imagine. We might have a winning season. It's like a quarterback that throws an interception last second to lose the game. And then he says, "Well, could you imagine what the second string would do?" It's like, well, maybe the second string would be better. Maybe the second string quarterback would be a lot better. Exactly. Fried cash. Exactly. Their entire, all of their talking points are the most sophomoric, childish, absurd talking points. Could you imagine? It's just going to get worse. And they know that inflation is going to get worse. See, the inflation is like the genie's out of the bottle. The economy is going to get worse next year, even with Republicans in office. Then Democrats will say, "You see, we told you Republicans are in office." It's like, no, no, no. It was going to get worse even if Democrats held Congress, which is impossible now. Okay? So the mismanagement, the continual mismanagement started when Mashed Potato Brains Joe took over. So Joel and Valerie, when Mashed Potato Brains took over, that was the start of the mismanagement. Because Democrats have bizarre economic policies. They keep saying that there's so many green jobs. There's so many green jobs. Well, where are the green jobs? Saving the planet is very lucrative. Well, then why are you flooding the country full of strategic petroleum reserves? How is it that, like, when push comes to shove, they become Trump Republicans on everything? Look at Martha's Vineyard. They become Trump Republicans on everything when push comes to shove. Within 2 seconds, they're flying out to a military base. Human beings who want a better life, right? How they view things. They want, these human beings want a better life. What's the problem? What's the big deal? And so, within 2 seconds in Martha's Vineyard, they're sending people on a military plane. Okay. And within 2 seconds, Biden's reversing course. First, he cared about the climate. Then he's releasing 180 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserve. Okay. Let's, will you be here for the live stream on November 8th? Will you be here for H.A. Goodman's? Will you be here for H.A. Goodman's midterm celebration live stream in November? So let's just go ahead and will you be here for the midterm celebration? Come on, people. Come on now, people. Come on now. Yes. Yes. Come on, man. You know the deal. Eric, thank you. Come on, man. You know the deal, man. All right. 94%. Yes. Um, thank you, Jim. Thank you. So we're going to have, thank you, Bill. Yes, Eric, there's going to be a lot of good live streams. There will be a lot of great live streams. Valerie, thank you. So 25%, 25 votes. Yes. So we're going to have a great live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Joel Valdez, thank you again. Valerie, thank you again. To my super chat, I cannot do this without you people. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have, yes, 30 votes, 97%, yes. So we're going to have an amazing live stream. And we're going to have live streams all throughout this month. I mean, I do one at 6 p.m. every day. I try to. Nuna, hello. Valerie, I wish. If there was that option, I would do so. Henry! I'll be here for your live stream. Henry, man, thank you so much. Thank you, Henry. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. I look forward to you being here and Valerie and Joel and everyone here and Eric and everybody here, Jim, everybody here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Henry, thank you so very, very much. Greatly appreciated. 38 votes, 95%. That's right. 40 votes, 95%. That's right. Thank you so very, very much. We're going to have a very, very good live stream celebration. And it's going to be, you're going to look, you have to look at midterms as impeachment is a certainty now. Okay? Midterms equal impeachment. Okay, that's what is going on here. It's all about impeachment. You have Joel Valdez. Thank you so very much, Henry. Man, thank you, Joel. Their job is to destroy a perfectly functioning economy. So in that respect, mashed potato brains is brilliant. Yes, that's true. That's true. It's almost as if Joel and Henry and Valerie and everybody here, and to my super chat, thank you. It's almost as if they're doing it on purpose. It is almost as if they're doing it on purpose. I mean, really, that's... Nuna will be here with popcorn. Yes, Nuna, thank you. Thank you, Nuna. Nuna H, thank you. Nuna and Joel, it's almost as if they're doing it on purpose. How can you accidentally ignore inflation rising in 2021? Thank you, Nuna. Thank you so much. How can you accidentally, you could say, well, they're just inept, but are they truly inept? I mean, I don't think they're doing it on purpose. Well, I think that what happened was they had a bucket list of what they wanted. They wanted to save the planet. They wanted to just pump money into the economy. They wanted to pump billions into another country being invaded under their watch. They wanted to spend as much money as possible because they knew that they would lose Congress. And this was their chance. They finally had mashed potato brains as president. And they had a bucket list of things they wanted to accomplish, which didn't help the country. So I don't know of anything that they've accomplished. Well, student loans, but inflation is at 8 to 9%. Real wages are down 8.5%, according to the New York Post. 8.5%. Real wages were up 1.1% with Trump in 2019. Exactly. I don't know what it is that they wanted to accomplish other than tanking the entire economy. This is a blueprint. If you're going to beg other countries for oil, if you're going to beg OPEC for oil, okay, then be honest and don't preach about climate. Paul, hello. Thank you for being a member. Thank you. To Undiscovered, thank you so very much. COL, thank you. Thank you for being a member. Greatly appreciated. I don't think so. I think what they want is Democrats govern through media, and they govern by public relations. They govern by opinion polls. And then they influence opinion polls, so it's this very bizarre. They don't really have a set value system. They don't really have a set. They don't have a set. But their entire shtick, their entire act is, oh, we care about poor people, and we care about social safety nets. But the thing is, they're creating the poverties. If you vote Democrat, you're actually voting for poverty. You vote Democrat in the midterms, you're voting for poverty. That's not hyperbole either. That is not hyperbole. You are voting for poverty. You see what's taking place. This isn't an example, ladies and gentlemen, of this isn't an example of two candidates running. Like if everybody knew what would have taken place 2 years ago, that we would have a recession, interest rates soaring, inflation soaring, an invasion in Europe, real wages down 8.5% according to the New York Post, I don't think the outcome would have been the same. So people couldn't foresee the future. Nobody's being asked to look into a crystal ball in November. You could just look backwards. Just look at what's taken place the past 2 years. I mean, the notion of trusting, I don't trust. I look at a track record. I look at a track record, and I look at what people have done. Like, what are people's actions? You judge people by their actions. You don't judge people by their words. Words are nice. It's nice to say I love you, but you have to prove it. You have to prove that you love somebody through your actions, not just through your words. So the shtick is like an act. It's like that's his act. These people have an act. Okay, it's kind of funny too. It's like here you have real wages down 8.5%. Inflation. So you have right here for these workers, a majority of workers' wages, once adjusted for inflation, have failed to keep up. Why is this so difficult here? Oh my god. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and just a majority of workers' wages, once adjusted for inflation, have failed to keep up with inflation. For these workers, the median decline in real wages is a little bit more than 8.5%. A little more than 8.5%. Joel Valdez. Durham's trials are exposing a group of seditious acts, not individuals' verdicts. Exactly, Joel, exactly. I mean, there was a setback today, if you could believe it, with one count being taken off the tally. So now there's 4 counts instead of 5. John Durham has to step up. Look, even if he gets, he'll be the Harry Houdini of political operatives. But I mean, there's got to be at least one. There's got to be at least one conviction. But again, what you're saying is 100% right. It's not about. It's really not about. It is really not about. It's not about proving one person is guilty of lying to the Bureau. What he should have done is actually gone after specific government officials. He should have really gone after, but apparently I mean, if you're not going to get a conviction, if you're going to get acquittals, you might as well have gone after certain government officials. But apparently, he didn't want to do that. He wanted to go after the operatives, but the operatives were all lying to each other, or telling the truth, or lying, or deceiving. These people they behave in the most deceptive manner, Joel. They live within this murkiness, this gray area of truth and lies, mainly lies. And then they hide within whatever element of truth that's needed to prove that they didn't lie outright. And so in court, Durham has to prove that a person deliberately lied, knowing that he was going to deceive, and which is exactly what Sussman did. But the problem was, James Baker wasn't deceived. He was part of it. Joel Valdez, thank you so very much. Indy, hello. Yeah, and so food prices are going up. It's just unbelievable. Like, you have the Durham Probe Special Counsel. This should get one conviction. I mean, every day I'm like, oh, this should happen. Anything's possible. So even if there's an acquittal even if there's like an acquittal on 4 of the counts, which would be, I mean, no offense, but Durham would not be a good prosecutor at that point. I mean, he would have failed 2 trials, and it would not have been that Trump isn't telling the truth, because that is the truth. They set him up and framed him. It would be that you had government prosecutors trying to prosecute everyone but the government was involved. This is about the government being involved. That's the issue here. And with Hunter, for example, you have a House and a Senate, ladies and gentlemen. You have a House and a Senate. Jesse, hello. You have a House and Senate that are going to obsess over actual criminal activity. Like when they say, oh, we're investigating Trump. You don't have to investigate Joe or Hunter very long. Tony Bobulinski there, you have suspicious transactions. You can already indict Joe. You already have the emails saying, how can you use your influence on the company's behalf? You already have those emails. In a court of law, you can ask, well, why did you force out that prosecutor? Oh, well, he wasn't doing... Okay, well, where is the evidence that President Obama gave you the authority? Nobody gave Joe the authority. Then they say, and then a whole bunch of people say, oh, well, that's good because he was forcing out a prosecutor that wasn't going after corruption. Who are you to force out a prosecutor? Who is the United States of America to force out another country's prosecutor? I thought we revere that country. We're just going to force out a prosecutor there? And even the people he boasted and bragged to said, you don't have that authority. And then mashed potato president, call the president, man. Call the president, man. Come on now, man. Call the president. So I mean, Joel, you're 100% right. The Durham probe will serve as will begin endless investigations in the House and Senate. The good thing for Trump Republicans will be this. You win the House and Senate, which we will. It'll be very difficult for Democrats to talk about democracy. It's like, well, democracy just proved that all of your talking points are nonsense. That's what democracy just proved. You win the House and the Senate. Trump Republicans, because you'll have Blake Masters. I mean, these senators are losing. These Democratic senators are going to lose. Masters is cutting into that lead every single day. Fetterman's lead is an illusion. Warnock is losing his lead rapidly. Okay. And like I said, Ron Johnson will win. Laxalt will win. Um, Democrats have to win Georgia. They have to win Pennsylvania. They have to win Arizona. And they'll almost certainly lose 2 out of 3, probably all 3. So they'll probably lose all 3. I mean, you're looking at a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where um, you're looking at a situation where the next 3 weeks, the market is going to continue to tank. The economy is going to continue to tank. Oil prices are going to continue to go up. You look at oil prices, they're approaching $100 per barrel. Okay. So oil prices are going to continue to go up. And Joel and everybody here, thank you so very much to my super chat. Thank you. I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. Oilprices.com is a fantastic um, so you have all of these problems. US shale could peak in 2024. So all these problems, ladies and gentlemen. OPEC cutting production, and they're still pontificating about climate. Well, you don't have the technology. You can't rely on wind and solar. You can't rely on renewables. You're not going to do away with you know you're not going to do away with traditional vehicles tomorrow. Electric vehicles are now being seen by many as unsafe. So you're not going to be able to transform the economy immediately, but that won't stop them from like preaching and pontificating and all of that. Um, when inflation continues to go up, it'll be their fault because they started the ball on this, and they know very well that the economy is going to get worse next year. Then they spin it, which is so hilarious. They're like, "Well, the Republicans benefit from the economy being bad." Yes, they benefit. This is interesting. It's almost as if Democrats cannot comprehend that anything terrible they do, any corruption, actually benefits the other side. It is true, yes. The other side is benefited. My Joel Valdez, my back is hurting so much from moving top secret boxes all day. No end in sight. Joel Valdez, exactly, exactly, Joel. Thank you so. Thank you so much. I'm Trump will get here. So this is on Truth Social. This was yesterday. So today he came out. I was putting my response to the Unselect Committee of Political Hacks and Thugs. Uh, tomorrow at 8. Thank you. So he basically stated the whole thing is nonsense. And so 54 minutes in, we'll get to it. He basically stated the whole thing is nonsense. And he's not going to testify. Also, the hilarious thing is that they could have voted unanimously like 7 months ago or 5 months ago. Joel Valdez, thank you so much. Awesome. Yep. Steak is getting beef is getting more expensive. Everything's more expensive. Everything is more. Biden's America. It's a democracy. Oh my God, democracy is expensive. Who would have thought that democracy was so expensive? Saving the country from Trump is an expensive task, but somebody has to do it. So pay up. Pay up, America. It's to save the country. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Joel Valdez, everybody here. Thank you so very much, Valerie, everyone here. Henry, Joel, Valerie, to my super chat. I cannot thank you enough. I will try to be back at 9:30. I will either have a live stream or an upload at around 9:30, ladies and gentlemen. Joel Valdez! Politicians want to control the world's temperature, but they can't even control the... Well, the main thing also about that, Joel, is that there's no guarantee that any other country is going to there's no guarantee that any other country is going to um, abide by all the Paris Climate Agreement. You don't those countries up until what? Those countries are now begging for oil and gas. HSOS, hello, thank you. I don't even think any of those countries are abiding by the Paris Climate Agreement now, which is really hilarious and sad too. Joel, thank you so very much. Thank you for your support this evening, Joel. Everybody here. I will try to be back. I'll definitely have either an upload or a live stream, but be here for the live stream tomorrow, probably a little earlier. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll try to see you a little earlier tomorrow, maybe 5 p.m. Pacific. Have a great evening, everybody. God bless. Joel, thank you. Valerie, thank you. Henry, thank you. Everybody here, thank you so much. I will see you later, everyone. Check out the upload or the live stream this evening in about